I want to speak to you about, from the subject matter of what I've called the whole painful, liberating truth. I sent a notice out to everyone that most black men don't own the toilet stools that they sit upon. Now, I realize that that gets your attention right away, and that's exactly what I want to do, that black men are toilet slaves. And it references how many black men are homeowners, and the numbers are not truly representative, because when you compare the number of blacks that own homes, the 45% of the black population in America is listed as homeowners. That's compared to 71% of the white home ownership. But the problem here is this: home ownership does not necessarily, when the Census Bureau takes that information, they're not necessarily referencing who is the head of the household. And let me tell you what I mean by that. The U.S. Census Bureau stats regarding home ownership among blacks, 70% of that 45% that do own homes would be women. So it cuts the men who own their own toilets or own their own homes down to somewhere around 10%. So only 10% of black men own their toilets. 90% of the black men you see walking the streets of America today don't own their own toilets. Now, again, the word toilet is a bit impolite to some degree, for some people rather, but it gets your attention. Let me try to tell you what I want to say here today. There's a crisis, there's a catastrophe on the order of cannibalism and barbarism happening in the black community, black man to black woman, and the suffering, the inflicted, intentional, negligent suffering of black children by their mothers and their fathers in the black psyche and in black America. 70% of the homes, as we mentioned before, are headed by women. And 7 to 8 of every black child that comes out from between their mother's feet does not know or have the support of their father. Now, I'm sure that you know of these numbers and you've heard of this data prior to my speaking it. But what I'm trying to draw your attention to is that this is a catastrophe. This is worse than a Holocaust. It is cannibalism at its height, that this is going on in our community, that we are no better equipped as a society of people that are indigenous to the whole idea of the black scene to cure this or to heal something as simple as this. And going back to my opening statement, that nearly 90% of black men don't own something as basic as a toilet seat, that they are bereft of the power to have something as simple as the control over where they sit when they have to do what they have to do. They have no control over that. It represents a kind of impotence. It represents a kind of weakness in the most crucial and personal way. It is a truth that cannot be denied. And of course, you can get these numbers from the U.S. Census Bureau, that is the depth at which our community has found itself in absolute weakness. But the fact that we allow suffering of children at the level of 7 to 8 of every black child in America that does not have a father or have an interaction with their father and not supported by their father is cannibalism. It should, and the fact that black people can stand on television or can go to movies knowing that this kind of suffering is being inflicted upon the innocent is unthinkable. And yet, when a person such as myself bring out these facts, I'm considered a hater. I'm considered one who hates black people. Nothing could be further from the truth. And I'm going to tell you why that kind of response is always offered when these truths are spoken. We've got to do something about this. 9 out of every 10 black women in America are effectively heads of households. Now, the numbers that you get from other people who follow this data is that 7 out of 10. But when you have men living in the households, yet they are not the primary breadwinner, or they're not the breadwinner at all, they're just in the household, the number then goes up to 9 out of 10. And when it comes to the strength of the black man to take control of his family, to lead, to pay the bills, to put the shoes, to feed, to garnish the table, only 1 out of every 10 black men has the strength to do that. A society with these kinds of numbers can't continue to exist. This is a Holocaust. The whole world ought to be alarmed at the fact that this is going on, and something needs to be done immediately to stop it. But not just that, the abortions that happen within the black community, 7 to 8 babies that come into the world don't have a father, but the untold number of babies in the black community that are killed through abortion is off the charts. It's just unprecedented, higher than any other race or group of people anywhere on the planet. Nobody kills babies the way the black man and the black woman kills babies, through abortion, high school dropout, unemployment, imprisonment, gangs, death rates, crime, misery, and then there's the ultimate of ideas of where black strengths of ingenuity, of economics, of finance, of leadership, of nation building, of social engineering lies in the whole continent of Africa, as an abysmal sign that something is dreadfully, dreadfully, dreadfully wrong, that Africa is so bereft and so charged with sickness, disease, and low economic strength and social structure. Now, you know, when I say these things, the first response of the average black person is to get angry with me and to call me a hater, or to call me an Uncle Tom, or to say that I am somehow or another trying to belittle or to berate black people. That isn't the case at all, and anyone who would take the time to listen to me would recognize that I'm saying this. It is a painful truth, but it's a truth. When you compare the structure, the economic standing, the on-par abilities of black people with the rest of the world, we're at the bottom of the totem pole, and it appears that we're never going to get up from there if we continue the same mindset. And I'm simply saying, rather than curse the darkness, shine the light. Jesus said this in John's Gospel 8:32, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." If we're going to change the willful, inflicted suffering that a black man does by making a baby and never supporting it, never being a father to it, and the willful ignorance and barbarism of a black woman to allow this to happen time and time again, and to the Holocaust mindset of the leadership of the black people who do not find ourselves in the worst possible crisis, this crisis in the black community of death, of misery, of gangs, of suffering, imprisonment, unemployment, is worse than the economic problems in America. We shouldn't be talking about the problems of the economy or the wars that are going on or any other problems. The worst crisis in America right now is the death of black people. The fact that black men, to the tune of 90%, don't own the toilet where they sit down to do their business. This is abysmal in compared to where other people are. And yet people are going about their lives as if business is okay among the black, and the death tolls continue to rise. Listen to me. Jesus said, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." And that's what I am espousing, that's what I'm promoting, and that's what we need to be concerned about. The black man, honestly, and here's why the response from the black community to me is that I'm an Uncle Tom or something worse, such as a coon or a pork chop eater or Uncle Ruckus or a buck dancing, yes sir, massa. Where's the correlation between the fact that it is true that black babies are born and are not supported by their fathers? Where is the correlation that makes me a coon because I point out that black men don't take care of their babies, or that the unemployment rates are off the charts, or better yet, that black women continue to lay down and make these babies and then go to the white man's welfare system and ask for help to raise and to feed these babies and put shoes on their feet. Where's the correlation that makes me an Uncle Tom for saying that? I don't get it. I don't get it. There's only one answer for that. There's only one answer for that. And that answer is that the black man is so ignorant, he don't know how heinous this is. See, ignorance deprives you of life. If you are ignorant that this is wrong, see, the black community don't think there's anything wrong with the fact that this suffering is going on. And they feel that when someone points it up, that person is wrong for saying anything about the fact that this is going on. The black man is universally ignorant, and that's why he's in bondage. But listen, when I learned that by sticking my hand in the fire, I got burned, and it marred me, it withered my skin, it curled my nails, it deformed my abilities, it destroyed my sensory nerves. When I learned that was happening to me, it's going to deform my hands and my grasp and my reach, I stopped sticking my hand in the fire. That's a matter of learning. I was ignorant when I first did it. The fact that black people have been doing this now for the last 50 years means that they haven't learned yet. And the absence of learning is the fullness and presence of ignorance in black people. And that's why it's continuing. Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." And what we've got to do is recognize that this ignorance is not a kind of ignorance that can be solved by sending a black person to Harvard or to Yale or to Princeton or to Stanford or MIT. They don't have a teaching, they don't have a subject matter or discipline in any of those universities that can remove this ignorance from the black man. Only God can help the black man see how ignorant he is, and the black woman see how foolish they are for allowing themselves to live in such squalor and misery and death which they inflict upon one another. So here's the deal. To say to me that, Manning, you hate black people, what have I said? What have I said that indicates hate? The fact that black men don't take care of their children, the fact that women are lonely, the fact that black women pay the bills, the fact that black women take care of the children. What's hateful about that? What's hateful about that? Well, where's the hate? You tell me where the hate is. Or to say that black people are ignorant? Well, let me ask you a question. Maybe, do you think if a man knew that he was wrong, he would continue to do wrong? Don't you think if he was enlightened and could do better, he would? So when I say there's an ignorance that precipitates this behavior in the black community, that's not hate, that's diagnosing the problem. When a doctor says to you that you've got breast cancer and it's very painful, that doesn't mean that the doctor hates you. He's telling you what your problems are. And he's telling you what needs to happen. You got to get in there with a scalpel and a knife and cut it out. That's not hate. The doctor doesn't hate the patient when he identifies what the patient's problem is. The Jesse Jacksons, the Obamas, the Al Sharptons, the Oprah Winfrey's, the Tyler Perry's, the poverty pimp preachers, all the politicians, when you are sick with cancer as a black people, they tell you go home and watch a good movie. They don't tell you what's wrong with you. Mainly because they don't have the medical degree to diagnose it. But even if a black leader like Obama or Sharpton didn't know what was wrong with you, they won't tell you what's wrong with you. They won't tell you. They won't tell you. Yet when the doctor tells you you've got a cancer and you must go to surgery, you say that's hatred. I'm simply telling you that these numbers and the continent of Africa is living proof. And everywhere black people are, it's a ghetto. these stats regarding toilets news, children without fathers, abortions, gangs, high school dropouts, prisons. I didn't make these things up. Everybody knows it's true. Does that make the doctor or the one who diagnoses the problem a hater? And listen to this. There are groups that call me a coon. They call me a nigger. They call me a pork chop eater. But for the record, I haven't had a piece of pork, any type or sort in my mouth in nearly 30 years. I don't eat pork. I don't eat shellfish. Just for the record, in the event you need to know. I know better. I believe the Bible. And the Bible says you should not eat these things, and I don't. So let's deal with that. But you know, you look at groups like the Israelites, they like to call me a coon. And some of you do the same thing. You know, was it not the Ku Klux Klan that first started calling black people coons? So when a black person calls another black person a coon, aren't you validating the Ku Klux Klan by making their designation a valid designation? And moreover, I mean, what's the difference between the Israelites and the Ku Klux Klan? Let's see. They both dress up in weird costumes. They both are seen in public places, and they both try to intimidate one another. There ain't two cents worth of difference between the Israelites and nothing but a black version of the Ku Klux Klan. And they're both groups that swear that their God and their religion has led them on the streets to do what they're doing. You see what I'm talking about? You see the ignorance that's in black people? Listen to me. You're not going to solve the problem of abortions. You're not going to solve the problem of black households 90% headed by women. You're not going to solve that in politics. Politics is nowhere near the answer. Politics is nowhere near the answer to that. You're not going to solve it by blaming, by saying you would be better, by making an excuse if the white man gave you some slack. If the white man lowered his standard, or he gave affirmative action, lowered the bar, made the standard lower, so the world becomes a less efficient world. Our products become less efficient. Our lifestyle becomes less uplifted because the black man needs to be able to compete. So we got to drop everything down to the level where the black man can reach it. Is that what you're saying? That is not the answer. The answer is this: ye shall know the truth, and the truth is that the black man does not, he is ignorant. God knows if he knew what he was doing, if he knew what he was doing, he would stop. He's a psycho. If he knew that he was causing his babies to suffer, if he knew when he pumped that woman full of babies and walked off and left her in the hospital by herself and left that woman to raise those children for the next 40 years, if he knew that was wrong, he would stop. He don't know. He's ignorant. He's ignorant. And only God. No Obama can help him. No black president can ever help him. No black politician. Only God can help him. Only God can remove the ignorance from him. He's a cannibal. He eats his own. He's a barbarian. He is anti-global social building. He is a barbarian, the black man is. He needs the truth. And it doesn't matter what school he goes to. They don't teach what he needs. They don't teach what he needs. Sending a black man to Harvard to learn how to better his community is like sending a Boy Scout to a Ku Klux Klan meeting to learn how to be a girl. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. That's the truth. So what do? The first thing we have to do is recognize, as painful as this truth is, and everybody knows the old axiom, truth hurts, hurts, it hurts. As painful as this truth is, we got to recognize that's the diagnosis. That's what our problem is. It's painful. We're ashamed. But this truth is going to make us free. This diagnosis and the pain of surgery is going to set us free. It's going to let us live. We can't keep walking around with this cancer that's in our social structure and our mindset. The first thing that we have to do is this, is recognize that if we knew better, we'd do better. We are cannibals. We're cannibals. We are barbarians, because only a cannibal and a barbarian would live at the family structure, the economic structure, the gang banging, the creation of ghettos, the way we do. And number two is that we've got to recognize that black leaders have failed, and black leadership itself has failed. That they don't know how to solve the problem. They don't know how to solve the problem. And you need to stop looking, including the poverty pimp church and the government workers, black people that have been working for the government for a goodly number of years. They've got a substantial income and a retirement program and a car that's more expensive than they can afford and a house that's too expensive for them as well. You got to stop looking to them or promoting them. They don't have the answer either. And then above everything else, whether you call me a coon or a nigger or an Uncle Ruckus, you got to realize somebody's going to have to pay for all these little children you see coming down the street or going to these schools. You put all the high schools and elementary grade schools together that are black and put them all in one big pot in America, and then stand at the head of the class of all those children and say, of the 3 million children in school in America that are black, how many of you have a father at home or even know who your father is or get support from your father? More than 2 million of those children will not be able to raise their hands. And you think that that is acceptable? And when it's pointed out, the person that says it is a hater? It's cannibalism. It's barbarism. It is ignorance. The black man is ignorant. Can he be healed? Yes. But there's only one healer for the black man. It ain't Obama. Obama is a disease upon a disease. He is a double dose of the disease. He can't even think about being a healer. There's only one healer for the ignorance of the black man. There's only one healer. There's only one healer. There's only one healer. His name is Jesus. He's the only one. He's the only one that can open the hearts of black people and say, stop making our children suffer like this. Stop it. Stop it. Stop this foolishness, this nonsense. Stop this weakness of men unable to stand up against every other man on the planet. Stop this. Stop allowing these men to not own their own toilets. Stop it. Stop it. Only God would love you enough to tell you that. Only the Lord would love you enough to tell you that. Only God. He's the only one that can heal us. So, humble yourselves, black people. You got a problem. You keep blaming everybody else for your problem. You need to humble yourselves under the hands of the Lord, and he will lift you up. Humble yourselves before Almighty God. And do what it says in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. If my people will call by my name, will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways and seek my face, our God will hear their prayers and will forgive their sins, and I'll heal them. You see, it's simple yet profound. The ignorance of a Tom Joyner, you're going to want to kill him. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Barack Obama. When you finally come to the light and realize these men have pimped your children, have pimped your grandbaby's inheritance, they have pimped the bread that ought to have gone to feed your children, the milk that should have been gone to feed the babies, the blankets to bring the baby home from the hospital and keep that child warm on a cold Chicago night, that Tom Joyner and Al Sharpton have pimped that blanket off of that baby, have pimped the milk out of that baby's mouth, have pimped the wisdom out of you to take care of your children. They pimp you! Because you see, ignorance doesn't care. Ignorance does not have a human component. It doesn't know how to be humane. These people don't know how to be humane. So you voted for Obama. What has he done for you? Name me one thing. Name me one thing. Name one thing. Name one way that you're better. Now, name one way. When the numbers are broken down, the black man doesn't have a toilet to sit on that belongs to him. And the same amount of numbers, to 90%, who don't have a toilet, don't own a roll of toilet paper. Every time they use a roll, somebody else paid for it. And you call me a hater. No. I'm a messenger of the Lord Jesus Christ. I love the Lord. And I'm here with the truth in my mouth. And I love you. That's what I'm telling you. Because you are wide open to be pimped. You are wide open. Black people, you are wide open to be pimped for your welfare checks. But I love you. And I'd never do that to you. I'm the Lord's servant. I'm James David Manning. And I believe a better day is on the horizon. I'm going to keep on preaching. And I believe that liberation is truly coming. God bless you.